Enthusiasm with multi-tonal voice.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty neat.
Oh, for all this gear, you almost look like you know what you're doing.
Almost.
You should make some videos.
It's quite deceptive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing how you can fool people, isn't it?
I know. all the gear. Oh man, it's so lovely out. Actually, it's been pretty naff. Yesterday, I was filming like an American football game, and
It was raining all day, wasn't it?
yeah, the first half was like beautifully sunny, and then out of nowhere, like I'm on a scaff tower, like 20 feet up, and I was like, it's not too easy to bring equipment up and down, and it started like piercing it down, and I was just shouting to the other team because where the scaff tower is right by the opponent team, and I was like, have you guys got a towel? And then like everyone's like can't hear me, and I'm like, you got a towel? And I was like, some dude came up and he's like, I don't have a towel. And I was like, just giving him my camera. And then as soon as I got down there, it stopped. I was like, fuck, I have to go back upstairs, up the tower.
You need that tarp.
Huh?
There's a tarpaulin behind you. Take
No,
it with
it's
you.
so windy up there though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you couldn't put an umbrella or anything up there.
Were you using that camera?
Yep. Yeah, I was using that camera. It's
Is
quite good.
the zoom beast enough to get
But it's the
action?
lens. Well, yeah,
lens,
this
yeah.
lens I've got on it is it's quite a wide angle lens. It's not meant for telephoto. But the one I do have for those games, it's quite nice. You can get really up in there.
Do you record the whole game?
Yeah. For all the plays, so they can see each play.
Oh, yeah. Because big, isn't it, in NFL? It's like the whole playbook is like half the game, isn't it? It's learning the playbook and how they... It's a very tactical game. Like, it's a coach's game as well as a player's game.
Man, it's so interesting, especially being at the perspective like where I am, like being up at the top. You can see everything that's going on, and it's quite easy to see like, he's probably watching this. Number 11 should have gone that way, or like this people should have gone this way. But when you're down there, like when I came down,
He's going to wipe you out.
he's gonna
You're turning up.
He's gonna fucking tackle the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But then when you see on the sideline, it's so hard to see the maneuvers, or like if you're in the game, like seeing where people are like positioned.
Yeah.
But
I
when
love
you're
that all like the football pundits afterwards that like they got the screen on. There's what he should have done. He's gone passed it down here and goes,
Yeah.
well, yeah, obviously. But when you're in the in the match, you
That's
just
the
react,
thing.
don't you?
You've got all the adrenaline, you've got everything, you've got coaches shouting at you from the sideline, and you're like, what am I doing? And then you're also getting rushed to continue with the play. So
Yeah,
you're
because it's only like 30 seconds, I think.
I think
play-
the max
play
I've
clock.
recorded a play was like 23 seconds. And it's so quick. There's even been 10-second plays.
Yeah.
They're just like hitting a brick wall and it stops. But actually, when we was filming, it was the Essex, blah, blah, blah. I should know this. Filming a documentary with them. Essex Sabres.
Yeah?
So we filmed them
Are they the ones
against...
in purple?
Pardon?
They in purple?
No, orange.
Orange.
Purple was Cardinals.
Oh, right.
Ipswich Cardinals. That was actually who they played the first game. But they played Norwich the other day. It was crazy ass spider.
I feel like you're getting your head around all the rules now. It's quite a
tell you
complex
what,
game.
it's really interesting. There's so many rules, and like just to understand, like, oh, is that a wide receiver, and then that's who this person is, and then who does that? It's
There's
a
a
really
lot of jobs.
It's a lot of complicated positions. But aside from that, I think it's pretty fun. I'd love to play. I'd so love to play, but my knee would blow out.
Get in the line.
Man, I'd love to. I'd love to play.
D-line.
I know I get the D line, mate.
I'm glad you picked up on that eventually.
I thought I'd just leave it over to someone else.
I didn't hear you say that. But I'd love to do a bit more physical sports, but it's just my knee, man. If I get one bad hit, I'm out. Like, my career's pretty fucked.
We can do it from a wheelchair.
Can't do, like, filming from a wheelchair.
Yeah, you can. Why not?
Yeah, pussy.
Actually, that's pretty...
Have you not seen how like Jurassic Park is filmed? It's all on like tracks.
On the director's chair, yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't film boot camp with it.
This is true.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bam.
Quad bike. Problem solutions, buddy. Let's go.
What's this reference?
So-
Doing the boot camp filming.
As you've met, we did the podcast with Jules. You know, he runs Essex Boot Camp. One of the
Franchises,
one of
yeah.
the franchises, Essex Boot Camp.
Yes.
2. He runs 2 now.
There's 2 now.
Southend and Lee, yeah.
Nice.
PJ, do you still do it?
Yeah,
for
I've
Upminster?
still got a franchise at Upminster as well.
Sick. Not only is PJ a handsome guy that does boot camp,
Ian's got sight problems.
he got sight problems, but he's a fireman. Oh, actually, firefighter. Sorry,
firefighter.
PC terms.
You're working for them as well.
Yeah, we just went through this.
Yeah, I'm doing a documentary with those guys as well. Should get my
Should
terms.
know this.
Firefighter. He's a firefighter, saving damsels, saving dogs and cats from trees. Maybe not dogs.
I love dogs.
Yeah,
Oh, my ovaries are tingling.
I know. So tell us, man, what's good? What's happening? What's new with you?
Well, you literally just did. You've just stolen all of my thunder.
I know.
So
Giving it back. Giving it back.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I just sort of keep busy doing that. I have the franchise with Upminster, which is on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So that
I'm
sort
gonna
of
crack these
spreads
open,
us
by
out. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I've got an opener.
Good man.
Always prepared.
And
Scouts on it.
then when I can't do them, then I'm sort of, I get cover from the other franchise owners
Yeah.
or cover instructors.
Because you're a full-time firefighter now.
Yeah.
Because
So I'm
there's
on
a
that shift
difference.
pattern.
Because one of the big things with the Essex Fire and Rescue Service is that they do rely a lot on voluntary firefighters. And that's the thing we're doing with like the Rochford branch is kind of highlighting that these people also have like everyday jobs. And
Yeah.
when they can, they offer their time as a voluntary firefighter.
Yeah, it's quite it's sort of what all the
Jesus.
oh my
Jeez,
That went well.
professional.
Oh, yes.
So
We know
there's a
what we
reason
do.
you're on calls light.
Yeah.
There's, for macros, you said?
Yeah. So I'm cutting down for Mexico. Go to Mexico on June the 30th
Sick.
and trying to lose as much body fat as possible.
Get dench. Is that you doing like surfing or any sports out there, or is it just a kind of recreational?
Yeah, it's just a beach holiday, really.
Yeah.
If the opportunity arises, then I will.
So so you're cutting down. Are you going to be eating like? I know we kind of deviated from the firefight thing.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
just
go back to
interested.
it. Go back
Yeah,
to it. We
go
got this. Yeah, so me and my miss are both on it. We started, so it'll be 13 and a half weeks total, and we're about sort of 5 weeks in. And we just count our macros, and by doing that, we just count our calories, and then the macros are the protein, carbs, fats within those calories, and make sure that we're hitting less than we need to survive, essentially. And then you stay within a safe sort of deficit of 300 to 500 calories consistently, and you're going to lose weight. And it really is as simple as that.
Is that like because Kirk dabbles in ketogenics, ketosis? It sounds
Yep.
like some like mystical thing.
It does.
Is that similar? It's like a similar like getting your body in that state of fat burn.
It's kind of it's sort of the similar theory, a lot more basic terms. So ketosis is essentially when your body, on layman's terms, obviously you might be able to explain a bit better, but your body stops using carbs as a primary source of energy and uses fats, you know, and that's the idea behind it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then the body, then because it's using the fats more as an energy source, it burns it off your body. And it's sort of like there's lots of studies going into ketosis at the moment, and whether you should go on a keto diet. And it's sort of one of those things where
What is your opinion on it?
I'm open. Really, I'm open. I'm not in full ketosis, but just because of my diet, I'm probably eat quite keto anyway, because I eat minimal carbs, mainly fats and proteins is what I eat, just because of my diet is based around more savoury type products, proteins and meats and things like that is what I prefer to eat, and lots of vegetables rather than lots of rice and breads. So
Yeah.
already I'm sort of probably not far from it, but overall I think the only thing that guaranteed works for fat loss is a calorie deficit. How you want to do that is up to you.
Yeah, it's
With
like the basic math, like
in and
like
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
How much
and
you
I think
taking?
one of the things, for me, I mean, I'm a natural fatty.
Nice. Nice.
Join
I'm
the
a
club.
greedy person when I eat. But
Man, I've seen magical moments with Coke. But you're thinking, no human can eat that, and like Coke,
gone.
it changes.
Yeah. But with that, if you've got, I feel like metabolic flexibility is the name of the game. So like, I think like once you've done it strictly for a month, then your body remembers how to do it. And if you overindulge at a weekend, I can not eat all day until
Bounce
dinner
back.
the next day, and it's
all about that discipline.
Before I'd become like fat adapted, the hunger pangs would just. I couldn't fast easily because you just get that crushing hunger. You're like, I have to eat. You get brain fog. Whereas I think if you're fat adapted and your stomach, when your stomach runs out of food and you're carb adapted, your
It already
brain's
knows
used to
what it's
running on
gonna do.
glucose, so it sort of panics, and you get that, and then you can't concentrate, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. Whereas when you're fat adapted and you run out of food in your stomach, you then shift over to using your body fat as fuel.
Yeah.
But it's the same fuel source.
Mm-hmm.
So your brain and body's happy, just sort of ticking over, and you don't get those like crushing
Yeah, it
hunger
sort of
pangs.
seems more sustainable. I think I have the same opinion with ketosis as I do with almost every other kind of diet or fad diet, if you'd like to call it that.
Mhm.
And the opinion is that if it's a diet, it's earned the name diet, it's probably been effective for at least one person. And health and fitness and losing weight, gaining weight is so individual to everyone. What works for me won't work for you. What works for you won't work for Kurt. And you've got to find what works to you. The overriding thing that is undeniable is if you're there's a pheasant in that field. If you're in
It's all about the wildlife,
It's all
man.
about the wildlife.
it's
Yeah.
nice
In
here.
the country.
It's nice. If you're in a calorific deficit, you're going to lose weight. If you're in a calorific surplus, you're going to gain weight. If you're in a surplus with
Exhibit A.
with the right
Exhibit
things,
B. Exhibit A.
I've just got a baggy jumper on, don't worry about it. Then if you're training the right way and eating enough protein, then you're going to put on muscle. If you're not training the right way and in a calorific surplus, you're going to put on fat. And that's literally, so in my mind when people go, does ketosis work? Does Herbalife diet work? Does this diet, that diet work? In my opinion, if it works for you, go for it. Because if it works for you, then it's working. Who cares
Yeah.
what it does for each other?
I think
The main reason I've carried on with it was, and why I tried it actually, was actually less sort of less body composition and performance. It was more like brain
Cognitive
yeah,
ability.
my cognitive ability. And I definitely feel my brain works better when I'm in ketosis, definitely. And you don't get that like lag before lunch, and you're like, I can't concentrate, and then you eat, and then you're like, I need a nap.
Yeah.
It's more consistent throughout the day, and that's sort of, I do that weekdays, and then the weekends I just enjoy myself.
I avoid all those slumps with copious amounts of caffeine.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's another big
Unhealthy
I
amount.
did, man. Like about a year ago, I did about a 3-month stint of doing intermittent fasting because I got told like, hey man, it actually works. I was like, I'll give it a shot. It was actually after about a week. It takes about a week for me anyway to get used to it. And I was like, I can happily not eat until about 1 o'clock. Then I've got from like 1 till 8 p.m. and eat normally, and then after that, get rid of it. But that was fine. But I don't know why I stopped. I think like I think I got like pressured. Like you got friends that are like, "Hey man, let's go for a little something," and you're like, "Oh yeah, I can totally do it." And then after you do a couple of those, like, yeah, I'll stop doing that. It's just that discipline.
Yeah.
I think that's something I need to.
I totally agree with you though, that I feel like the more I learn about nutrition, it is so genetic. The genetic variability is just everything.
That's
like you say,
huge.
you've got to find what works for you, haven't you? And I think it'll be good in the future. I think we'll be able to tailor our diets to our genetics.
I think it
very
as everything moves on, we're really lucky at the moment. We've got fitness trackers, like watches, Apple Watches and stuff can tell you how many calories you're burning. MyFitnessPal, the app, you can record all your food that goes in. So you've got what comes out on your wrist. You've got what comes in on your MyFitnessPal app. That's it. And it's sort of like there's loads of intermittent fasting. There's for all of these diets and ketosis and theories and stuff, there's enough studies supporting as there is against them. You can, and it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you want to look into ketosis and you're interested in, I want to go keto, you type in keto and you either find positive or negative information that pop up.
You'll find what you're looking for.
You find what you're looking for. Same with intermittent fasting.
Yeah, you see like negative, you're like, that's because they're not doing it right.
Yeah, he's messed this up.
Like you say, yeah. I feel like, a veganism, I know, and Jules does it. He says he feels great.
Yeah.
I know other people that do. Some people say they seem to run very well on it, but then other people
Don't.
start to feel like shit, and then they have, even if they're doing it diligently and getting all the correct nutrients, they end up with nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, it's got to be what works for you. And what works for me is the most simple, basic form, because I'm not very smart. So I just stay as simple as possible, and I just go, little of what I want. So if I manage my macros and I know that I'm eating enough protein to support muscle growth and repair, I'm eating enough carbs to give me a little bit of an energy spike, and I'm eating enough fats to supplement the energy source that the carbs aren't giving me, and then also to help my digestion, help my hormone function, which is our primary source of reason for having fats in our body, apart from storing for later. You know, if I've got enough for all of them and I'm either gaining or losing weight, it works for me, because then I can still come and have a beer, even though I'm on a 15-week cut. I say beer.
I mean, we're on a Old Moot Cider again. Thank you. Future sponsor, please.
Future podcast.
Yeah, you're working for
and I love the fact they're they've just partnered with the World Wildlife Fund.
Oh, very nice.
It's a nice
so
touch.
that's something that I like. So you know, sponsor us.
Yeah, please.
I mean, Coors Light have just stopped working with Van Damme.
No way.
Well, I don't know if they've stopped, but have you been watching 8 out of 10 Cats and things like that?
Yeah.
Channel 4, the adverts now for Coors Light that precede and are in the intermissions are terrible. It's like the play on like the stand-up comedians where they like shred each other down, and they're just terrible jokes, like not even funny. And it's like, it makes me not want to drink Coors Light.
But back to being a firefighter.
Yeah.
How's the training? Because I know you spend a long time training up for that thing.
Yeah, so it's about 14 weeks. So on call slightly different. Obviously I would say you should know a little bit better because you're doing the documentary, but
I know a little bit. I've been kind of like, because I work on many projects at once, I can't commit to so many dates of seeing those guys and doing things. So I kind of get things in the grapevine. But I filmed a session where they did a drill. They bring the truck over. So I don't know if you've been to the South End one.
I've been to the station, yeah.
Yeah, you know that on the back they've got that big venting system. So they did the whole drill there, and then getting what are they called? If there was like dead people or whatever, finding the casualties, then bringing them.
Yeah.
So it was all that exercise,
Yeah.
and that was really interesting. I know there's loads more, but
Yeah, I think the simplest way to explain it is like you've got part-time and whole-time, you know, or retained and whole-time, or on-call and whole-time is what like the official branding at the moment is on-call and whole-time. The premise behind it is that they're both trained to the same standard and deliver the same job. One does it constantly, and on the shift rota, depending on where you are in the country and what county you work for, depends on your shift rota. Ours in Essex is 2 days, 2 nights, 4 off. Over the course of that week, you work.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good. You work. It's like 9 till 6 for the days, and then 6 till 9 for the nights.
Do you find is that just for you, or is that for everyone?
That's for all whole-time firefighters in Essex.
Because that's healthy. That's like a healthy day.
It's good. It works
good
well.
shift
It
pattern.
does
Man,
work well.
How do you find in terms of like health and fitness? How do you find the night shifts? Do you find you recover from them well, or does it knock you out a little bit? Or?
Yeah, I think it's that again is completely individual. Like if you look at the textbooks and the studies that go into it, you know, your body needs between 8 to 9 hours sleep for full muscular repair. But you know, also by the studies, your body needs 4 to 5 hours for full cognitive repair, and that is optimum for both. So it's like they don't really work. If you want your brain to be the most alert, you should have 5 hours. But if you want your body to be the most rested, you need 8 hours. And it's like, well, that doesn't really work, you know. And it's got to come down to individuality. With my old job, what I did before, I think it's brilliant preparation for shift work, because you sort of rotate in and out of it anyway. And if you're, same with everything, your body adapts. So if you're used to waking up and going to sleep quickly, then you can. The biggest thing you find is if you go on a sort of semi-exciting job, you come back, you lie in your bed to go back to sleep, and you're awake for the next 45 minutes to an hour because you're still buzzing, your heart rate's still going and your adrenaline's still going. But again, that's individual. You know, if your body can disperse that adrenaline quickly, and if you're one of the type of people that I wouldn't want to say dead inside, but I find it hard to emote. So it's not a lot that gets me overly excited.
It's like a ton of
useful.
beach babes, and he's like,
Meh.
makes me sick.
Meh. So I don't get overly excited about a lot of it. So like, it'll happen, and I'm quite new to it still, so it's still like quite exciting.
I guess
but
that's
I'll
quite
still just
good.
shut down quite quickly.
That's good. I guess in that situation you have to keep a level head, and I guess you got to be in control of your emotions during whatever scene you're at. You know, so I guess there's a pro and con to it.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried using like blue blocker glasses during the day if you want to get to sleep during the
I haven't
day?
actually, no.
Or do you normally just sleep during the day fine?
I'm lucky. I am lucky. Like, light is a bit annoying, but I'll literally just throw a t-shirt over my eyes and I can be out like a light.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we are quite lucky though. Lucky for us personally, and lucky for Essex as a community, we're quite quiet at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll turn up to work. Usually we do drills and like lectures and onward training throughout the evening. Once it gets late enough, you sort of go to bed, and then it's sort of like you might get a few shouts here and there. So a shout is like a job. Most of them luckily are very quick. It's like an AFA, which is like an actuating fire alarm for whatever reason.
Someone pressed something or something.
Yeah, someone's pressed something. Someone's broken one of the push to call button, like the break glass things, or someone's heard it going off. Yeah, someone's heard it going off, called us. You
Just
get there and it's like someone's sprayed deodorant too close or something like that, you know. And that's a good thing for us and for obviously everyone else, that the calls on a whole have gone down. But it's even better for us because we're sleeping.
Yeah.
We get paid for it.
Yeah,
Bang.
I was going to say, yeah. Is there,
Like,
are there some? Go on.
I was about to say I got a buddy of mine, you know him, who does he's a firefighter for the airport.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's just hanging out all day. I mean, when is there a fire at the airport?
I think
So
the
it's chilling
airport
as
are
fuck.
actually busier than
Really?
so airport firefighters are actually busier. Now, if I was going to join on with the stereotypes and the banter, they're busier, but they're not proper firefighters because they only look after planes, just for the fun of it. Just to stoke the fire.
Yeah,
Go on, get in touch.
Reel them in.
Go on. But in reality, they are busier because the way I understand it, I've only got a limited understanding of it, is that every time a plane comes in or out, they have to be on the tarmac ready to go.
Oh, right.
So I know it does rotate, and I know they've got a different amount of crews, and depending on how big a threat the plane is, you know, and I'm not sure how it works scalability wise. Obviously, a lighter plane, lighter aircraft, they're more at risk of faults and fires than the big ones. However, the risk to life is obviously higher on the bigger ones.
How do you go about an aeroplane fire?
Yeah,
How do you deal
You just
with
got to
that?
spray some water on it.
Yeah,
a lot of foam.
Foam, water,
Yeah.
maybe
Foam
a bit of
party.
Just turn it into like an IB for phone party.
Yeah.
Just get it up in there.
nice. They're so overrated, aren't they? You end up all like soggy and
I've
horrible.
never actually been to one.
I think you've got to be mutilated to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just worrying that, you know, it's not going to smell right. You're going to have to clean yourself. What's going on in that foam that you can't see?
Yeah.
I've been to many clubs and you can see some things you shouldn't see. Imagine if there's foam covering it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
You're like, I
Hello.
swear you're a girl.
Or maybe that's a reflection on the clubs that I'm going to.
Possibly.
That's cool, man.
So,
That's really interesting.
Obviously, as a firefighter, you don't want there to be a fire because someone could get hurt. But are there people that almost
Hold them back,
like
Kirk.
look forward to there being a good fire because it's an
Yeah.
adrenaline rush? It's like,
pups
yeah,
around.
let's go.
I think it's the same as so my old job. I was in the Royal Marines, so it's the same sort of premise as that, where you never want bad things to happen. So you never want a car crash to happen. You never want a house fire to happen. You never want a firefight to happen. You never want to really go to war. On the same side, you want to be able to be tested to your best ability.
Yeah.
Or I do anyway. You know, I've trained for both of those roles for a long time, and in the Marines I got to do a lot of different stuff, don't get me wrong, and I'm very lucky for the experiences I had and for what it's developed me into, but I never got the ultimate test, if you like. Now, if anyone asks me, do you regret not going or not having the chance to go? No, I do not, because I know a lot of people that did and came back different or didn't come back at all. So it's like, I think if you ever say, I wish I'd gone, it's a very naive look on life. But I will say, I am disappointed I didn't get the opportunity to test myself on the role that I had been taught on.
Yeah.
And it's the same
Do
kind
you-
of thing with the
do you
fire
think-
service.
Yeah.
It's like one of those situations where I know when I spoke to Jules about it, it was a bit of like.
What's the last podcast?
Yeah, it feels like it might be like a rite of passage, like.
Oh, 100%.
When you think of like, the previous wars, First World War, Second World War, if you didn't go, it was like you're not a man.
Mm-hmm.
And now was one of this kind of the stigmas we were talking about with Jules, was like, fighting that stigma and like people that go into the military with the wrong mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that kind of ties in? Do you think like, given that you didn't have the opportunity? Nah, because I'm kind of back in track on myself now.
I think what you're trying to say is like, so on the other podcast, there was sort of like, Jules made that link between the egotistical nature and the whole, you've got to do this or you're not a man kind of drive within the forces. Now, head over to my podcast, because me and...
Dude, shout it out, man. I literally found this out the other day. That was so sick, and I love it.
So it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is new. It's the Working Title podcast, available on the platforms, all the normal platforms. There's no videos, you don't have to look at my face, but you do have to listen to my voice, so I apologise.
It's got a good voice. Sexy voice.
But yeah, the Working Title is kind of like a self-fulfilling explanation. It's unfinished. There's no set thing. It's what I want to do. So it's for me to have those conversations with friends and to force myself to have conversations with people that I know are more knowledgeable about subjects than I am, or to try and impart some of the very limited knowledge that I've gained over my experiences to people that may not have that knowledge. And that's literally it. So if I want to talk about something, I'll jump on the mic and talk about it. If I want to learn something, spit some bars. I'll get someone in and chat to someone about it. And it's all about the open conversation. Some are a little bit more interview based, so I'll act more as a host, and some are a little bit more like this, where it's just sort of like sit down and chat. A lot more low budget.
Yeah,
mine's like one USB mic in a laptop.
But it's the content's key, man. I'm like, what's the word? Overcompensating.
Oh yeah,
it's more the fact you have the equipment.
Yeah,
because you're a filmmaker.
It's your job.
It is my job to do this.
Yes,
so.
you have a business that does this. So it's there.
We're slowly matching up mics as they break.
Yeah,
one by one.
a new one. We broke. The other one broke, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did a
so
whole
it's handsome.
podcast and listened to it back, and 5 minutes through, it went all staticky.
That's devastating.
It was a sick one as well. What can you do? He's coming back again.
Yeah, we'll rerun it.
Yes, cool.
But going back to it, dude, I'm really interested in it. It's like it's because I was talking about when we, national conscription. I was saying like in Israel, everyone serves time, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I'm a big pusher for it, if you like. But I think it'd have to be heavily edited to what it was back in the day.
What was it back in the day?
Back in the day was literally just how it kind of is in Israel, where it's like everyone has to do it. Now I think it would have to be, to fit the modern climate, it would have to be edited a lot in terms of we aren't the same people we were back then, for better and for worse.
And I feel like a lot of people at that age would grow from the experience.
Yeah,
I feel like having some sort of national service. Like I say, it doesn't have to be military, does it?
No,
you could help in a hospital.
Yeah, I think I watched that podcast and I thought that was a brilliant suggestion. Instead of just going to military-based national service, go into a public service-based national service. And I think with Israel, it works. The IDF, they need it because they've got all the issues with Palestine and things like that there's constantly work to be done.
Yeah, they're surrounded by people that want to blow them up.
Yeah. For the UK, we're in an island. We
need more social help.
Bolster the Navy, because they are struggling. But we need more internal help. We're not bordered by hostile countries. Whatever your stance is on Israel, Palestine, Gaza Strip, that kind of thing, they are hostile. Whichever way you look at it, they're hostile to each other. So without getting into the meat and bones of it, they both need to help, defend themselves. So they've got work to be done. We haven't. So I think the reason it would need to be edited for us is that it would be different, because you wouldn't be going in to do active service. So what would you be doing? But again, really right back to the point from the original question of the connection between manliness and the divide between if you've been to conflict, haven't been to conflict. It's kind of one of those things where the Royal Marines are really lucky, or I'm really lucky that the brotherhood that the Royal Marines develop is based around earning the Green Beret. It's based around being within the Royal Marines. And yes, there's always that stigma of I've done this, you haven't done this. But I think that's going to be around whatever you do, whether that's conflict or something else.
Everyone that's in there as signed up, they're mentally prepared to do it if they're asked.
Yeah,
and that's, I feel like that's the thing, isn't it?
And I think within the Royal Marines, which is, I can only speak from sort of third party experience with the army, because I've never been in the army, but the differences that really shine out to me is a little bit more big boys rules within the Royal Marines. Everyone's on that level playing field to start with because everyone's passed the commando tests. Everyone's got that green beret on their head, whether you're 6 months out of the box or out of training, or you're 35 years down the line, been extended your contract 3 or 4 times, you could have retired, and you're the sergeant major of the baddest regiment or corps, unit in the corps. You've still got that green lid on your head.
So
it levels out.
It's the Royal Marines.
Royal Marines Commandos.
So it's a naval branch.
Thing, yeah.
But mostly conflicts you'll end up fighting on land, or that's sort of the impression I get.
It's kind of adaptability.
Is it like the SEALs?
I guess there's no sort of equivalent in the US, straight line. In the US, there's tiers of special forces. There's tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3. I'm not overly clear on how they work, but essentially tier 1 kind of links in with our SBS, SAS, which are the sort of the top of the line. They are the top special forces. Then you've got tier 2, which is more like special forces support. So not as highly trained, but can then back up if it really shit hits the fan with the tier 1 guys, who in American sort of speak, that would be the SEAL teams other than SEAL Team 6. So SEAL Team 6 and DevGru and Marine Raiders and Green Berets will be tier 1. Then the other teams and things like that will be sort of more tier 2, tier 3. And depending on who you listen to, Marines and Paras are considered more tier 3 to 2. As I say, we don't really have the same tier system as the Americans, so it's sort of a little bit skew with. The traditional role of Royal Marines is to attack by sea, so get launched off of naval vessels into our own Royal Marine provided smaller landing craft, conduct raids from the sea to the land, beach assaults led into short combat based raids, whether that be sabotage, kill, capture, that kind of thing, and then get out by sea as well. And it's sort of represented by the core colours. So the core colours are, whether it's representation or we've made the representation of it, it goes big portion of blue because you sailed there by the water. Then you got a bit of yellow because you go across the beach. Then you got red because you kill everyone. Then you got green because you yomp out, and then you're back onto the water to get out of there. Yomp is just a big long walk. So that's the traditional role. And then the commandos was sort of based around that as well, from Winston Churchill in the Second World War. They sort of amalgamated in, and there's loads of history to it. And but essentially now they're an elite infantry fighting regiment, just like the paratroopers as well. Traditionally they're there to jump out of planes, but they're trained to a certain standard, so if they can be used, they'll be used.
Yeah, it's an option, but if it's not,
most of it's land-based now.
Yeah. It was interesting you mentioned because everyone's heard of the SAS, but the SBS, not many people have heard of, but they're they're equally elite, aren't they?
They are.
How would you distinguish the two? The SBS are more marine, like divers and
so again, it's mainly just speaking from experience of what I've spoken to people that have been in that or have experience working with that. But SBS is Special Boat Service, SAS is Special Air Service. They both go on UKSF under their rules, so it's both UK Special Forces, and they both go on joint selection process. So the selection process for both is the same and it's done together. Then towards the end of selection phase, which is all the process of how they decide who's going to, make it and who's not. At the end of that, SAS go off down to Hereford and conduct the rest of their continuation training, based more around, counter-terrorism, land-based operations. And then traditionally the SBS go more down to pool, and then they'll go into their dives phase, which is where they do the sub-aqua sort of underwater knife fighting and
Sounds
stuff
like
like
pimp.
that. Yeah.
Underwater knife fighting.
And they sort of more... I'm glad you got that as a
That's
joke.
a rush.
And then they specialise more in counter-piracy, but essentially it's the same as the Marines. You know, they've got the traditional roles, but they're an elite fighting force
they've got
that's
a
used
speciality.
where they're needed.
Yeah.
So both will be in theatres of operations at the
Yeah.
moment now, doing lots of naughty, badass shit. But yeah, the biggest... It's kind of a confusing line, because the biggest sort of difference is that as special boat service operate mainly in and around boats and diving and water, but the SAS do have their own boat squadron and divers.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like...
They're all able to do everything, but
Yeah.
they specialise more one or the other. Yeah.
So it's sort of... Yeah, they're both sort of similar. I mean, the interesting thing is the SAS Who Dares Wins programme.
Okay.
The majority of the DS, as they call them there, the direct team staff, are actually SBS rather than SAS. But the slogan, you know, people know of SAS. So if you put SBS, maybe not as many people would listen to it or watch it. So
Yeah,
it's kind of a branding thing.
I don't think I've seen a lot of it, but like, you know, those SAS videos, like recruitment and stuff. Is that bullshit or is that legit? Because I've heard mixed things.
In terms of what? What do you mean?
Like, is like the training process, is that like what it'd be like, or is that kind of, it's been a bit glamorized?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. Like, there's been a lot of, especially recently, the Royal Marines have been inundated with sort of recruiting programs as well. And essentially, you've got to remember their recruiting tools, same as the SAS. So I'll approach the question in the same sort of way. So we'll group both the SAS ones and the SBS ones Royal Marines ones in the same sort of thing, that they represent the schedule and the processes to a good degree to be able to promote people to join.
Yeah, because they don't really want to make it look like this is fucked up. I do not want to join.
Yeah, it's selling. Like everything else. Isn't it?
Do you think that's made a good and positive impact on it? Have you noticed any like?
I think within
extra
the Royal
recruits?
Marines, like, Royal Marines are never short recruits. Like, and whether that's due to the fact that they've got that proud history, or whether it's due to the fact that the marketing team are marketing towards the proper people rather than asking for snowflakes to join.
Man, what is that ad about? Like, class clown, join the army. I'm like, bro.
I mean,
I get the
premise.
They should have done it more in like, here's a good direction to go. Like, if you don't understand, or like you're a bit lost and you need some direction, this is a good way. Not only financially, because they help you out. Obviously, they pay you a job, but it's good to have like that discipline and
I don't think it's partly like testament of the army training system, though, that they can quite reliably take people who don't necessarily have a lot of skills coming in, and just break them down and then retrain them, and then you end up with someone who is well trained from.
Yeah, but we're just talking about like the marketing tactic. Like, if I said to you like, you're a snowflake, or like, you're a class clown, you should come join the army.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe. Although I can see what they were doing.
I get the premise. It's kind of like they're trying to include everyone and be like, look, it doesn't matter if you think you can't do it or you think you're not appropriate for it. You should join because you are. And it's who we're looking for. But it's also, you know, a complete load of bollocks. So it's sort of like,
Yeah.
there is a difference. Like, you know, like every armed forces in the modern world, it's not made out of machete wielding warriors
Some
anymore.
Rambos.
You know, it's just because that's not how modern warfare is done. You know, there's a lot more supporting roles. You know, I can't remember the figures, but it works out to be like, for every frontline soldier, there's like 7 people working to put in there. So if you consider that on, say you've got 10,000 troops on the ground, you know, that's 70,000 backroom staff, if you like, that are working in the forces to put in there. And 10,000 troops, that's not really a lot. So it's like, you do need that background thing.
You need some people that work
and you need
intelligence,
those skills.
telecommunications, support, engineering.
Yeah, but I think it's almost demeaning to the guys in the army at the moment, because if you say we're looking for snowflakes and we're looking for class clowns, what are you suggesting are the people in the army at the moment?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and that's why a lot of them aren't happy with it. It's because it's like, well, no, that's not who we want to work with.
Yeah.
That's not who I want to put my life on the line with.
And what if you're like a very successful, candidate? Like, let's say you're very highly regarded, like a student, you're doing very well, but you want to support your country and you want to work in the army. You don't be like, well, you don't want to feel like you're being put in with people that aren't as talented.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if that's the right way of saying it.
I get it. I do get it. You know, they want to be inclusive. They want to bring people in, and obviously, all the marketing for the armed forces up till that point has been based on elitism. Army be the best. Royal Marines 99.9% need not apply, and it's all based along those sort of lines. You know, have you got it? What it takes? And to an extent, that works because only the top caliber of people join.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got the top caliber trying to join, then you've got to do something to try and bring other people in. You know, and it's not that people can't do it. It's that the training system within all of the armed forces in Britain is incredible. You know, doesn't matter which one you go into, they develop you to such an incredible standard that it's going to be good for you in the long run anyway.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm saying. It's sort of a testament to the training system.
Yeah.
You can take someone with sort of lower skills, and they'll become a highly skilled person at the end of it.
I believe in it. You know, whether that's Army, RAF, Navy, not so much, and the Marines. You know, they're all brilliant, and they've all got their own strengths and weaknesses. But I think in terms of becoming a well-rounded individual, military service is one of the best things you can do.
What do you think you've taken out from it? What have you applied from your training? You spent, how many years have you been in service?
5 years when I left.
So in 5 years, how long? What have you taken from that you've applied now as a civvy?
I think the biggest thing now, whether I had this discussion with Jules as well, that I don't know whether these were skills and attributes that I had already, that the Royal Marines brought out of me, or that they instilled in me. But now, I mean, you know, I went in at 18, I had my 19th birthday in training, so I was a kid, you know, and arguably when I left at the age of like 24 or something, 25, I was still a kid. So it's like I almost grew up. Some of those most key years in a young adult's life I spent within the Royal Marines, and I think there's lots of good experience, lots of bad experiences, but ultimately, you know, what they live by in their ethos is how I still trying to live my life now. You know, I'm punctual to the degree that my missus get annoyed with me because I can't be late for anything. It breaks me. So I'll be half an hour early just so I'm not 5 minutes late.
It's true. You did come up about half an hour early today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 5 minutes late, but I had to deal with a horse issue.
A horse issue? I like this.
Yeah, Mum's got horses, and one of them snapped its rope and ran off down the field, so I had to go and grab it.
Cracker John Wayne on the way to a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is this
Turn
life
up
you're leading?
bareback.
I didn't know it. I was like, why is he hooked a horse there? I thought he was driving.
Yeah.
I was like, it's got to be a good excuse, Kirk.
He's done well. He's done well. You can't beat that.
Clawed it back.
That's pretty badass. That horse just ran off.
Yeah.
You know, punctuality. There was always a big saying within the Marines that, you know, if you're like 1 minute late, 30 seconds late, it doesn't matter how late you are, you're late.
Yeah.
And the essential premise behind that is, you know, you're either walking out or you're getting transport out. And if that helo's booked at 5 past, and you're there at 5 past 1 second, guarantee they won't still be there. They'll be gone. And it's like, then you're walking out.
Yeah, you're like, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's sort of drilled into you. So punctuality's a big one. Determination. You know, I rarely don't do anything that I'll say I do. I'm quite hot on that. I don't really say I'll do much. I just go and do it. Which is why when I started the podcast a few weeks ago, I did get texts, people saying, why do you start a podcast? When did that come from? Because usually normal people talk about ideas. They bounce them off people you know, and you sort of go, what about this? What about that? I'm too impatient and I don't care about other people's opinion enough. So I just
Man of action.
I just went for it.
I do find that a little
decisiveness, I guess.
Yeah, I find that a little bit myself. Like, I know when I'm going to do something because it's when I
Want to do it.
I stop talking about it and just go and do it.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes if you talk about something, your brain you almost feel like you've already done it.
Yeah.
Just spoken
Yeah.
about it. You're like, oh yeah.
You've also
almost
lose
just sort of talk yourself
enthusiasm.
out
There's
there.
actually a
Yeah.
thing that I got it from one of this filmmaker. He does a lot of like beginner YouTube videos and stuff like that. It's Philip Bloom, and he did an episode about when it comes to editing films, or like you do like a client work or something. He says he always makes sure that once he's finished filming it, you have to complete the edit within 3 days, because after 3 days you've lost enthusiasm for it, and you're like, I'm
Becomes
already
a
bored
chore.
of it. Yeah. So you gotta get that. So basically, I'm trying to like every time I do a client film or I work on a new project, as soon as I get home, I just get straight away working on it, because I know if I leave it for a week or two, I get bored, and that's the problem that I faced working with documentary stuff. It's so long form.
Yeah.
You know, we worked with this Sabres football thing. We've been starting that, I think, end of last year, and now we're still continuing because the season is quite long.
Yeah. And you need all of that detail, don't you?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. I mean, didn't Greg have some insights on that when
Yeah.
we had him
Yeah,
on?
we had-
What
we-
was, I can't remember what wasn't he saying you could almost sort of treat each section as its own.
Yes. So what Greg was saying was that what he was doing is with Will, the editor, was that they were making a continuous sizzle reels. So once they filmed the day, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, if you're watching this, once they film the day or film whatever they're doing, they'll create a sizzle. So they'll edit that together into like a chunk. So they've got that chunk, and then instead of it being like, let's say you got 2 hours worth of filming, you've now got 15 minutes of good content that has a narrative that you can apply for the future. So that means when you do your overall edit in the future, instead of getting 50 hours of editing,
Yeah, you
you
can
actually now
just
got
sort of
like 2 hours of like loads of 15
Drop
minutes.
them in straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of makes sense because you just segment it up, didn't you? You know, you break it down into their own mini stories, so then you can link them all together later.
Yeah.
Kind of keep you
I've heard
motivated.
Tim Ferriss say that's a good way of approaching writing books as well. Each if
Chapter.
you write each chapter, that it would be interesting and make sense if you read it on its own. If you just picked up any.
Really nice.
So I guess that's sort of the same. If you had each sizzle reel, you could pick up and
Yeah,
watch, and it
'cause-
makes sense in isolation.
Because that's what I
Yeah.
need to do now. We're doing editing tomorrow afternoon. We filmed the game yesterday with Norwich. So we're going to be cutting all that up. And then going through the previous like training days and finding the good cards and then doing that.
Seems like a smart way to do it because I think enthusiasm is quite important in staying motivated to do stuff. You know, you've got to
Yeah.
have your why, and as soon as those 3 days are passed, your why sort of goes, well, you know, there's coffee over there, and
Dude, I'm the biggest
I can't be
procrastinator in the world.
bothered and-
Like any excuse to not work and I'm on it. Like 100%. So that's why
down.
I have to keep like the enthusiasm. The reason I love my industry is that I'm doing completely different work every week.
Yeah.
One day I'm in this country filming a doc. Next week I'm filming a conference for this, or I'm filming a promo shot for some big label. And it means that I've got variety. Because
Yeah.
I'm not the person that I thought I could be I can sit at an editing desk all day and I'll be happy. But now I've kind of grown and I've developed different avenues. I absolutely love just being out filming.
yeah.
So I couldn't do desk work. I couldn't. Not that I do. I still do my editing, but I couldn't be an accountant or something like that. Just does paperwork because I need a bit of variety, a bit of spice of life to.
There's no way I could work in an office. I mean, mainly because I have no skills, attributes, and qualifications that
Can't
would
read.
let me into an office. But you know,
Well,
do you
it's
have
handy.
crayons, please? But like, I don't know whether it's the structure or the whatever it is. Like,
Have you? I know I'm changing the subject a little bit. I'm going back about what you've learned during the military, but how's this discipline been a big factor with you? Because I like when I speak to Luke Strickland, might be listening. Big Luke. He's super hot on it, and I love it because every time I see him, it's like I've just sat with just fucking like Tony Robinson. It's just like a massive hit of motivation, and just like he does cool shit. And as well, Cassie, they're like a fucking power couple. So it's great to sit with those guys, because when I was speaking to him, he's like, even though I don't like doing it, I still do it.
Yeah.
It's discipline. It's just like you just say to yourself, like, I'm doing it. There's no way about it. And that's something that I'm trying to develop. But when you finished yours, your service.
Mm-hmm.
What's your kind of mentality on on discipline? Do you just go about and do it?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to, I've always been quite a self-disciplined kind of guy, in terms of, if I wanted to do it, I'll do it anyway, or if I needed to do it, if I wanted to stick somewhere, I can. But then if someone told me to do it, I wouldn't usually react in the right way. And I think that's the biggest thing I got from the Marines, is that I learnt to desensitise myself from feeling maybe that, oh, he's asking me to do this because this, that and the other, or she is asking me to do this because they think I'm like this. And you learn to desensitise yourself from the discipline of others, which obviously you have quite a lot within the armed forces, and you don't see it as a personal thing. You sort of desensitise that and just go, well, it is what it is, and
there needs to be a chain of command. It's there for a reason. Yeah, get on with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's incredibly important, but I think that's the biggest thing I learnt, was that self I can do. I'm disciplined by myself, but it's I can accept other people saying, do this, do that, do the other thing, without me going, oh, well, they're doing it because this, or why didn't they ask him to do it? I just like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's very transferable, because even like in just general work, I find that when I've worked with people, or if someone's hired me, if I come across someone that's questioning, or like if I ask someone to do something and they just backchat, I'm like, oh well, we got this, or the excuse, I'm like, I'm not going to hire you again, because I just don't want any ag. When you're working on a big productions or something, everything needs to be streamlined.
Yeah.
Also, clients don't want to see that.
No, it's not as professional.
No, so I think that's quite good as well.
I think there's an important line between allowing the employee or the person, if you like, lower in the ranking system, to have their creative input as well.
Yes.
And that's something the Royal Marines does quite well, in terms of, doesn't matter whether you've been out 3 months, you've been out 3 years, you've done 1 tour, no tours, half a tour, done nothing but drink beer in nice places. Thanks, Royal Marines. You get that opportunity to have those answers. I don't know what it's like in other armed forces, but in the Marines, they do nurture that from a young, straight away, And
it makes sense, effective, isn't it? I mean, like you say, even if they're less experienced, they might have had an insight that other people haven't. Yeah. It's worth listening to, isn't it?
Do you think there's a strong sense of nationalism in the UK?
Now, with the Brexit Party doing quite well out of the European polls, it's growing. But in terms of like
for armed forces,
no, I mean, it depends what you compare it to.
Because like when I was in the States, I hang out with a couple of friends of mine. They both served in US Marines, and like I love the patriotism.
Yeah,
I thought that was just so nice. Like people get it mixed up. Like as in, some people don't see it the same way I do, but I think it's quite nice that you've served for your country for your you've set out to do what you wanted to do. Like you wanted to serve your country, if you're in combat, and it was nice that you get rewarded when you come back as a veteran. You get treated well. But I think in the British military, it's kind of seen like, oh, all right then, like you did what you did.
Yeah, I think an unselfish act for a selfish region is still an unselfish act, and it's sort of you can put that on a t-shirt if you want.
Yeah, I like that.
it's sort of I've limited fucks to give in my life. I don't have many. I wouldn't say zero, because I'm not an animal, but
there's a few.
I've only got a few, and I'm not going to waste them on thinking of the motivation why I'm doing something, someone's doing something for me. In terms of like, if someone does an unselfish act for me, I'll still say thank you, no matter whether they've only done it because it's going to benefit themselves. And that kind of links in with that. It's sort of like, when I went out to America, we've been out to America quite a few times for training and stuff. There was one time where we flew into an airport and they have veteran welcoming committees. And we came off the plane for a stopover and they clap you in. And it's like, I'd been out of training 6 months. I'd done nothing. And there's volunteers clapping me in, shaking my hand, thanking me for my service. I'm not even American. But because we're allies of America, they treat us that way. And you go to this airport lounge and you've got essentially the greatest sweet shop in the world with everything you can imagine. And it's like, have what you want. And you're like, sorry, what? Literally have what you want. Whatever you can pick up and carry, you can take.
Just that poor stewardess. Just,
literally, you're emptying your kit out your burger like
Stewardess on each shoulder. Hang on.
a raw deal with this.
I think you may have misunderstood, sir.
ripping chairs up and stealing furniture. Like, we got this, boys. Let's get the place.
Got it.
And they've got another level of appreciation, and whether it goes too far and becomes a bit cheesy or whatever.
Yeah.
But so compared to that, no, it's terrible over here. Like, no one cares.
Because I feel like if you spent 20 years of your life serving in the military, it would be nice to get some sort of appreciation, because you don't get that. Like, if you spent 20 years in the film industry, you've got recognition, and you do get
you're on credits,
respect. Everyone's like, wow, the stuff you produce is amazing. You spend 20 years in the military, and sometimes I know that
you're
some
still
people,
Gary that goes to the supermarket. If you imagine there's guys that have served, for 20, 25 years, that were big shit in the Marines. When I was in, there was guys that had been 25 years. They'd done Northern Ireland, they'd done Afghanistan, they'd done Iraq, they'd done training like teams and stuff all over the world and been everywhere, done everything. And there were regimental sergeant majors of units or sergeant majors of companies. They were the guys, like, they were borderline gods to us. Like, they were the guy you would aspire to be. They were everything. If they said something, like, you would do it to the best of your ability, not because they were better than you, they were higher than you, they were mighty, just because you respected the shit out of them. But really, when they retire, they're still just Gary going to the supermarket.
Yeah.
That must make that transition so difficult.
Yeah. It was actually interesting, because I met one of the guys years ago. I didn't even realise who he was. There's like a charity organisation around here, the Round Table. And one of the guys there is very, like, what's the word? He's kind of famous within, like...
in that circle.
Yeah, well, he's famous in, like, the military. He's got records in, like, longest confirmed sniper shots and stuff like that. He's quite big. I never even knew it. Just hang out and have beers. And I was like, man, and I only got told because one of the guys, after a few drinks, was like, oh, yeah, do you know actually what he used to do? And I was like, no idea.
No idea, yeah.
Don't know what he did. And then he told me about it, and I was like, man, like, I have so much more respect for him knowing. But he never said shit. You'll never know.
I think it's nice.
I was like, but sorry to interrupt you, Coach,
Yeah,
but
go on.
I was like, I'd hang that with, like, a banner of pride if I was so, like, not known, like famous, like, well credited in the military. I'd be like, this is what I did.
Comes down to humility, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe I've just got ego.
That's
Yeah,
I think that's individuality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think podcasts have a great medium to have the potential for giving such people a voice?
Oh, I think they're brilliant. Like, I absolutely love them. Like, I've been listening to podcasts for years, mainly because I don't have the attention span to watch loads of videos. I can't read. So it's sort of like
Colourblind.
Yeah. Last book I read was Biff and Chip. So, like, that's where my reading level is.
Yeah, I think it's.
So it's sort of like you can listen to it when you're doing other stuff, and I think it's very important. Like, there's people that wouldn't think about putting their information out there, but as you say, like, we're just people that know each other or have met each other, and it's sort of like, what's your opinion on this? What's your opinion on that? And it is valuable to some people. Other people are like, shut up, mate.
Man, that's what I just love about just having, like, open conversations. Because the reason, we said this a couple of times, the reason we started this is just to have conversations. It's just like, a lot of people don't sit down and be like, so what's going on? Like, how you doing?
Yeah. Often the sort of conversations that you only have sort of down the pub, and everyone has, like, 10 pints down and shouting over the top of each other. But I feel like listening to people talking is more natural for humans, isn't it? I feel like it's almost come like full circle, and it's like back around the campfire swapping stories, and it feels like a sort of return to a primal state.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, because there's so many times where you speak to someone and, like, it's always like, hey man, how you doing? Yeah, I'm good. How you doing? And that's
it.
That meant shit, because, like, I might not be that good. There's shit that's going on, but you're not going to be interested if I tell you this stuff. And it could be worked the other way.
Yeah.
So this is quite a nice.
I think that's helped a lot, because I think like social media and people, you see people's highlight reels, and you're like, oh, everyone's everyone's doing this and that. But you listen to podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. People I admire, learn things from. But then you realise everyone's got their struggles.
Yeah.
No one gets out scot-free.
No.
Everyone's got their shit they're dealing with. You're like, oh, thank God. Like, it's
We're all
not easy
human.
for anyone.
I think it
That's-
gives that a little bit more relatability, and I think in modern day and age as well, where everything's revolved around the phones and social media, and like we don't chat to each other anymore. You know, I went wild camping with a mate of mine a couple of weeks ago to Dartmoor for like 3 days,
Sick, by the way.
and it
I
was
saw those
so
photos.
good. Like we didn't, yeah, thanks man. We didn't have phones. Like there was no signal.
Some Brokeback
So-
Mountain shit right there.
Oh yeah, Mitch is a good spooner. The only thing I was devastated about is I lost my Duolingo streak. I was doing that for like 58 days.
Oh,
so
you on
we-
that as
guys,
well?
yeah.
Man, we've been hitting that. It's been hitting that. What have you been learning?
Spanish.
Oh, I like that. I got the reference in there.
Yeah. Mi hablo español.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very well, as you can tell.
¿Cómo estás?
Yeah, I want
Sí,
to try
bien.
that out.
I don't know. That's all I know.
So yeah, like it's sort of. I think they're brilliant. You know, they give you that conversation. You get to meet other people that you wouldn't maybe have put yourself to go and meet, or have conversations with people that you might not have actually talked to before. You know, and I think the art of conversation is almost dying. You know, people used to do courses back in the 90s and early thousands of how to have a conversation. You know, there used to be full-on seminars of the art of conversation, and now it's how to put the best Instagram post for the most likes. You know,
Yeah.
now they do seminars for that, and it's like, come on, like, especially as if it all ends, you know, if satellites fall out the sky and we've got no internet left, how are we going to update our Facebook? We're not, but we are going to be sitting around a campfire chatting.
I think I'd imagine the barbers got it pretty good because they're chatting with people
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah,
I've been trying to get Luke on it. Look, come on.
you got,
What's
man.
going on? What's going on?
Get on this. Yeah, Luke's a cool guy. He's got loads of stuff to offer, so
Yeah.
got to get him on.
It's been good, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming. It's
Thank
been
you for having me on, guys.
Badass.
Yeah,
And we've got to
it's
get you
been
on
a
again
pleasure.
because I know
Yeah.
you've got shitload more cool stories.
Yeah, there's loads more. There's loads more.
That's the thing. Yeah, we always get to the end, and afterwards you're like, oh yeah, could have said
Could
this.
have talked about this.
Yeah, but it's nice. You feel gets your brain going.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
Well, say like I've got mine, and hopefully we'll do one. You guys come on mine, and we'll have a little chat,
Yeah, boy.
Absolutely.
Um,
Anytime.
and we can see how the other end of the spectrum does it with just a crappy little mic and no sound quality.
I like
Content is king. Eh?
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks for coming. Signing out.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.